Shalom. Welcome back, everybody, to our Tanakh series. Levi Chazan here from Yeshivat Rayon Yehudi. Last week we talked about the introduction to Sefer Yoshua. Today we're ready to kick off over here chapter 1 of Sefer Yoshua. There's a lot to do, so let's get busy right away. First of all, our rabbis teach us that if the Jewish people had not sinned, we would have only received the 5 books of Moses, which is the law. Obviously we need that. And the book of Yehoshua, the book of Joshua. That would be it. There would be no other after prophets. There'd be no book of Shmuel. There'd be no book of the Kings, 1 or 2. There'd be no books of Isaiah, Ezekiel, and Yirmiyahu, or none of the other books. The only ones that would have existed if the Jewish people did not sin were the 5 books of Moses and the book of Yoshua. And that really makes sense when you think about it, that we have the 5 books of Moses in order to teach us the laws, the 613 commandments that we need to do. And then, of course, you have the book of Yoshua, the conqueror of the land of Eretz Israel. So those actually go hand in hand, because that's, as we mentioned before, that's the goal. The goal is not just to stay in the land of Egypt, as the Rambam teaches us. It wasn't enough that God redeemed us from bondage and removed us from slavery, but we also had to leave Egypt, because if the purpose was just to keep the commandments, we could have done that in Egypt. God could have saved us from the Egyptians, freed us, and we could have stayed in the land of Goshen, made beautiful yeshivot there. Everything would have been wonderful in the land of Goshen. Call it what you want. Call it Lakewood. Call it Muncie. It doesn't make a difference what name you use it. We could have stayed there. But no, the purpose was to get the Jews freed and out of the land of Mitzrayim, out of the land of Egypt, in order to bring them to Eretz Israel. So here we are. We're starting off with Yoshua, where Yoshua exactly does that purpose, that goal. And that's why this book would have been enough if the Jewish people did not sin. Now, what exactly, or how did the Jewish people sin? We shall see that theme further on developing, and see exactly what the sin of the Jewish people were that prolonged the conclusion of so to speak, the redemption, which never actually occurred, and caused the destruction of the first temple and the second temple to our very day, which was still running after trying to find the final redemption, so to speak. So the book opens up over here, teaching us that Moshe Rabbeinu died and Yeshua is taking over, and God tells Yoshua, "Here I am," on sentence number 3. "Every place on which the sole of your feet will tread, I have given you, as I have spoken to Moshe." Now it's interesting that when Moshe Rabbeinu died, the Jewish people had a 30-day mourning period over here. Now, during these 30 days of mourning, obviously we're sad, etc. The Yerushalmi, the Talmud Yerushalmi, teaches us that the Jewish people forgot at this period of time 3,000 laws that Moshe Rabbeinu had taught them. And out of all the laws that the Jewish people had at the time, 3,000 of these laws were lost to us during these periods of time. Yeshua prayed that they should be returned to us. God said Moshe Rabbeinu is dead. How could you return these laws? If they're gone, they're gone. There's nothing you can do. The people came up and they wanted to kill Yoshua right away, right off the bat. We already see that we are in the midst of this type of civil war. The people came up to do it, to strike against Yoshua. I don't think so much as the fact that they lost these laws, but I think that they were definitely upset that Yoshua did not have the capabilities as Moshe Rabbeinu did. For instance, our rabbis teach us that Moshe Rabbeinu was, so to speak, the sun, and Yoshua was the moon. Obviously not in the same level as we know. There was no prophet like Moshe Rabbeinu, so nobody could stand up to Moshe Rabbeinu in his greatness, not even Yoshua. So I think that aspect really hurt the people, and they actually rose up, so to speak, to, as the Talmud tells us, to kill Yoshua because of the lack of this ability to return the 3,000 laws which were lost during the days of mourning for Moshe Rabbeinu. Rashi tells us that God told Yoshua to, at this point, if you can't return the laws, but you should occupy yourself and prepare yourself for warfare. Meaning, get ready right now. You're going to conquer the land of Eretz Israel. Get everything prepared and get things going. The pasuk told us over here that every place that the sole of your feet will tread, I have given you. From here, Rashi teaches us that this is true for even outside the land of Eretz Yisrael. That's a very interesting thing. That means that we have the Kedusha, the holiness of the land of Eretz Yisrael. But the proper course was to come into Eretz Yisrael and to conquer the land of Eretz Yisrael. We know that we're up against 7 very strong nations that live over here. It's totally occupied the land. There's no place really to put a foothold. That's how many people are living over here. And so many kings are conquering the land of Eretz Yisrael. But God is telling us that once you do the proper work and you conquer the land of Eretz Yisrael, every place that you go out after the land of Eretz Yisrael, if you go out to Syria, if you go out to Turkey, that will be included in the land of Eretz Yisrael, in the boundaries of the nation of the land of Eretz Yisrael. Now that is very something that has obviously not come true. In fact, we find even in the time of King David. King David went outside the land of Eretz Yisrael in his wars against the Philistines and against the other nations. He went out to Syria, and he conquered that land. But he did not do it properly, meaning that he first did not clean up house in the land of Eretz Yisrael, proper land of Eretz Yisrael in the borders. There were still pockets of foreigners that lived here, but David left those pockets over here, and he went out in order to conquer land outside the land of Eretz Yisrael. We will learn about that when we get to the stories of David HaMelech. But David went out to conquer that land. So, in spite of the fact that he did conquer those lands never really had the same halacha, same laws as Eretz Yisrael proper. So when you come to the laws of Shemitah and taking out Ma'aseh and Trumot that have to be taken out, so there are certain aspects of the area that was conquered by David that have the biblical halacha law as if it's in Eretz Yisrael, and some of them do not have. And that is because he did not conquer in the proper way, as it says over here. This is what's written down over here, that every place where the sole of your feet go will be included in the land of Eretz Yisrael. We go on over here and see, from the desert to Lebanon to the great river, to the Euphrates, all the land of the Chiti and the great sea westward shall be your border. And it's interesting to note over here that what is this great sea over here? Why is it called the Great Sea as opposed to any other seas? The Mediterranean is obviously what is implicated over here. So why is that called the Great Sea as opposed to the other seas? And the answer is that anything that's connected to the land is considered great. So because this is the boundary, the western boundary of the land of Eretz Yisrael, the Mediterranean Sea, it automatically takes on that aspect of being great because it's connected to the land, which is, of course, the land that's blessed by God Himself, the land of Eretz Yisrael. We will continue with chapter 1 next time. I'm Levi Chazan from Yeshivat Harayona Yehudi. Thanks for being with us.